Now that shows the peril for people still in Ukraine, especially eastern and southern Ukraine. And it also shows why so many people are leaving just about everything behind and fleeing for safety. So now I want to bring in two students. Maksym Taranets is 17 years old and Polina Shostak is 15 years old. And they both had called Kyiv home. Now they have taken refuge in eastern Hungary, and that is where we've connected with both of them. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Polina. Hi, Max. So first, I just want to ask you both how you're doing.
Well, it's much safer here. So it's been like a few days, almost a week that we came here in Hungary. So, it's much better when it's quiet at night. You don't have to wake up every 2 hours to be sure that everything's all right. So here it's much less stressful.
And Polina, how about you?
So it's much safer here than in Kyiv, obviously. And we're feeling fine at the moment, although we're like in a state of not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow. And it's quite disturbing for us.
It's interesting because, Max, you said that you were waking up every 2 hours because of how concerned you were that everyone was okay. What was that like?
Well, it wasn't only about making sure that everyone's all right. It was sometimes waking up from the explosions because we lived like near Kyiv in the area. And so we would hear the alarm going on or alarm on our phones, like an special app that shows you the alarm. And so we would just run to the basement, wait for like 10 minutes or something, and then think of going back or not. Pretty scary thing.
Now, Polina, maybe you can tell me a little bit about the journey for both of your families to Hungary. What was that like?
So at first we stayed like a day in Kyiv when this strike began, and we actually hesitated a lot before going. Our family had to leave like most of our members behind in Ukraine. And my mom and I first came to Lviv because it obviously was the safest place to stay at that moment. And we stayed there for a couple of days and then we went to Hungary. But we still left her dad behind in Kyiv and we really hope that he's okay at the moment.
Yeah, that must be incredibly stressful for you and your family, for both of you and your families. I wonder what it's like for someone of this age. I'm sure most people who are your age who are living here right now, teenagers going to school every day, worrying about maybe what to wear for their graduation ceremonies. This is a very different world for you. How does that feel?
Well, it feels really hard being disconnected from our friends all the time. So we try to use our messengers to text on each other every day, every few hours. And it's also really hard about the further education because we don't go to schools right now. We don't really know how we're going to go to the universities later. So yeah, it's pretty complicated.
And what about for you, Polina? You're staying in touch with your friends too. What are they saying to you? Where are all of your friends? Did they all decide to leave too?
I usually talk to my friends like all the time because obviously we're worried about each other. Like in the past, we didn't have to worry that much and we're not that interested in politics. So right now we just have to read all those channels and all those news to like know what's going on. Most of my friends have left Ukraine, but one of them is still staying there. He's in Zakarpattia. With all of his family members, and they're not planning on leaving anytime soon because they're feeling safe at the moment.
A lot of people have said that people living in Ukraine have sort of been bracing for war, so to speak, for 8 years, since the annexation of Crimea. How has that impacted how you guys have grown up through the years? Was this something that you weren't really worried about or thinking about, and then all of a sudden, a lot of people were in disbelief when Russian forces started coming into Ukraine?
Well, nobody believed that war going to affect us so much. Like first few years, maybe 2015, 2016, we were all concerned. Obviously, it had a huge impact on our economy, on our parents' salaries, on our capacity of like buying things, going, traveling, things like that. But I don't know, few months before, we all felt that. So we had to prepare step by step, making plans like escape routes. So we all felt that large-scale invasion is coming, but nobody knew we're gonna wake up from explosions in Kyiv like at 5 a.m.
What have your parents been saying to you as you've been preparing to leave everything behind? How do they talk to you about something like this?
So it was pretty much okay for me and my parents because we already had a plan beforehand. And we tried not to panic much because we knew that during that situation, it's impossible to like organize ourselves. So we had to make up a plan before this actually comes. So, and we talked about everything together, and kind of like 2 months before we had to like organize everything so that in case of emergency, we can like organize ourselves, pack up our things and just leave.
Do you get, Polina, a chance to communicate with your dad at all? Do you get a chance to message with him and see how he's doing, or FaceTime with him or anything like that?
We talk a lot because in Ukraine, everyone has like cellular data and they have internet and connection. So we communicate a lot, obviously, and we text each other and we get all the news.
And so you do get a chance to talk to your parents, and I guess, you know, Max, you do too. I guess I'm wondering also how scary all of it is. You know, Max, you mentioned that all of a sudden one day you woke up and there were these air sirens going off, which was something that was very unexpected. So how frightening is that for people, especially of your age?
Well, that night, like on the 24th February, I intentionally opened all of my windows to hear everything that was happening. And like 5 a.m., there were like a few explosions, and I was in my flat alone. So my family was outside of the town, and I was like right in the middle. So I don't know, I just quickly woken up. I started calling my mother to know if she's all right, because I know that she lives near to the military airport. So I was really frightened. And then for a few hours, I was just packing, like, I quickly packed my things and I was just sitting in my bathroom because I just wanted the explosions to stop, and they didn't.
Polina, you said that your family had a plan that it was in place, that when it comes time, you're just going to have to leave and go. What do you take with you? What does one pack when they're leaving their home and heading off on a journey where you don't necessarily know where you're going to end up or how long you're going to be there?
So usually need to pack like basic things, and we actually made some mistakes while packing. And right now, I understand that we should have packed like if we were going on a vacation, on a really long vacation. But you need like basic clothes and hygiene products. And you should keep everything that's valuable to you in that suitcase. But basically, you're going on a very long vacation and you just need to plan everything out. And you should always pack all the clothes that are suitable for different weather conditions, just in case.
Well, again, I can't imagine what both of you have endured and continue to endure, and we appreciate you sharing your experience with us and our viewers, and we do hope that you and your families both stay very safe. Thank you for speaking with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Max Taranets and Polina Shostak. They are now safely in eastern Hungary. They left from Kyiv.